You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
You're ugly. You are disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
Thank you so much for coming to talk with me.
My pleasure.
For everyone that may not be aware of who Sara Weeda is, why don't you inform the lovely people?
I am the voice that made a bunch of people cry during those scenes in Xenoblade 3. So I sang Where We Belong at the end of the game, and I sang A Step Away.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just jump right into it with the first question. You're the vocalist for those two songs in Xenoblade 3, but what got you into music to start with?
My dad. He's a music teacher, and music was always there all around the house. So it was pretty natural for all of the family to make music all the time. And I never realized, well, as a child, I didn't realize that was something you could do as a career. I just sort of went with it, and then I decided to keep doing it for the rest of my life.
So music was always around you,
Yeah.
even at a very, very young age.
Yeah, and so when I realized you could go to college to study like music-related things and you could make a job out of it, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just keep doing this. Never really considered anything else.
When did you make the decision that this is what I want to do?
When I was 11, and I had to pick a secondary school, and I found one that focused on music. So I was like, yeah, cool, because that's what I want to do in life, and I never got off that path.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've seen that you've mentioned the song May It Be from Lord of the Rings. You listened to that on repeat, you said.
Mm-hmm.
You even did a cover for it with Anuna. What does that song mean to you? Why did you listen to it so much?
Well, it's had several different meanings to me throughout my life. When I was in kindergarten, probably, my twin sister and I found the single lying around in our house, and we listened to that on repeat because we just thought it was cool. So then it got this sort of feeling of home and family, because my mom is a big Enya fan. And then later on, when we started doing it with Anuna, some of my friends were in a really bad spot mentally. And when I was asked to sing the solo, I looked at the lyrics, and the meaning changed for me compared to when I was 4 years old. So I feel like the song it came into my life when I was a child, and then it sort of grew with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's such a hopeful song, and as a child I really felt the hope in it, and when I got older I saw the darkness that it was addressing as well.
So you didn't select that song for the cover? Anuna came to you and said, do you want to cover this song?
Well, it was a song that was on our list that we were doing live, and we had different soloists, because just a quick note about Anuna, we don't always travel with the same singers. So sometimes solos have different soloists singing them. And I sang it a couple of nights, and then it hit me like a truck how much that song actually means to me, and then I recorded it.
Oh, I got you. So it was sort of happenstance that it entered your life, and then later on it entered your life again.
Yeah, and I'm also a big Lord of the Rings nerd, so it's my song. No, I'm borrowing it from Enya, but I feel like in Anuna it's my song.
So who are your favorite music artists? You mentioned Enya.
Yeah. So Enya is she's in my top 3 always. I'd have to say Michael McGlynn, who is the founding father and composer of Anuna, because he got me into this type of music, the soundtracks and also everything we do with Anuna and SYSTIR. And his compositions I was a big fan of him when I was 15, when people were off listening to bands, I was just jamming to Gregorian chant, arranged by Michael McLean. And I really like a band called Porcupine Tree. They make like progressive rock music, and they're my favorite band in the entire universe, probably. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Porcupine Tree, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of that group. Have they been together for a long time?
Yeah, and then they split up and then magically reappeared last year. And their frontman, Steven Wilson, he has some side projects and a solo project that I love as well. So.
Oh. Well, so that must have been exciting. Your
Yeah.
favorite band ever came back.
Yep.
Awesome. So, what instruments do you play? I know you play a lot, but what do you play?
Yeah, I'll wait, yeah. So there are some that I play for fun and some that I actually could accept money for. So I'm a pianist. I was trained as a pianist. I'm a guitar player. I picked up the cello. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy it. There's like various whistles that I can play Happy Birthday on. What else?
And you accept money for those?
No. I think I would have to pay people to listen to it. But so yeah, what else is there? Like there are some instruments that if I had maybe an hour to practice, I could play a tune. So anything like that looks like a guitar, I could probably play well enough to play a song. So ukuleles and stuff. But yeah, my
banjo.
Banjo. No, that's a different level. I don't think I would be a great banjo player. Yeah. So at the moment, mainly piano, guitar, harp.
Oh.
Harp. And just like random weird instruments like the hurdy-gurdy.
The hurdy-gurdy goes hard. That's a good instrument.
I love it. Also, not very good at it, but like good enough to play a tune.
See, it's such an uncommon instrument. I'm sure most people wouldn't realize if you were playing it badly or not. It would...
Yeah, and I could always blame the instrument because it's like it goes out of tune really quickly.
Oh, does it?
You're like, oh no, I just need some maintenance. This is definitely not. It's not a skill issue. No, yeah.
Which instrument do you want to learn the most that you haven't sort of dove into yet?
The hammered dulcimer.
What is that?
It's a string instrument, and it's like it's like a table harp, but you sort of you hammer it with sticks, and it sounds really cool.
Huh.
Yeah, so definitely look it up.
Yeah, what? How do you spell that?
Like hammered, like you hammer it. Hammered dulcimer, DULCIMER. Spelling is hard in English. Jeez.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to learn English at an older age, definitely. It's a dumb language, and it doesn't follow any rules. Oh, no, I think I've seen this before.
Yeah, no, it's like spelling out things or reading out like phone numbers. For some reason, my brain is like, no, can only do this in Dutch.
At least the characters are the same.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, hammered dulcimer. So if anyone has one laying around, I would love to try it sometime.
That's sort of, I would imagine, is very much like folk music. You would play with that folk or like dramatic music.
Yeah.
And that sort of leans into my next question about Seed and your love for folk music. What got you involved in that space musically?
Again, thank you, Dad. Yeah, he took me to a festival once where a sort of folk band was playing, but not like the traditional Irish folk, diddly diddly dee. But like they combined elements from folk music from different parts of Europe, and then they added some like sort of modern fantasy stuff to it. And I was like, oh, it's like walking into a fantasy movie. It's like a soundtrack with no movie, and I became obsessed. It's also how I met the guys from Seed. They were at those same concerts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, like,
Yeah.
when you went as a child, the people from Seed were there, or older going to
No,
those
I think
concerts?
I was probably like 13 when I first went to a concert like that, and then I kept going like every
Okay.
year to as many as possible. That's where I met them. We became friends, and then years later, they said, "Yo, Sarah, we know you don't play the guitar yet, but would you be interested in joining our band?" So I learned the guitar, and I joined the band.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a part of Seed. You're also a member of Anuna. So for those of you in the audience that don't know exactly who Anuna is, would you like to fill them in, Sarah?
Yeah, it's a vocal group based in Ireland. They've been around for longer than me, like on this earth. They were part of the original Riverdance, but they moved away from all that, and they've become international. Well, we've become much more international with singers from like 12 different countries in the group. And we have our own composer who leads the group, and he also combines all his own like sounds with more traditional Irish music, like the tradition of Ireland. And we've also been involved with several soundtracks for games.
What was your favorite soundtrack to work on? And don't feel pressured to say Xenoblade.
But it was my favorite
Okay.
soundtrack to work on, so yeah.
Okay. So what about other than Xenoblade? What would you say was your favorite?
Well, one that I wasn't on, but it sounded epic, was Diablo 3. The
Oh,
Voices of Hell. Because usually we sound quite pretty. But they didn't sound, it wasn't pretty. Of course, it was still beautifully sung, but it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that soundtrack.
So Anuna has been involved with Xeno in general for a while.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Lowlands, as well as a few other Xenoblade 2 tracks. You worked on the Xenogears 20th anniversary soundtrack, I believe. And now Xenoblade 3. What was that progression like?
I believe Michael McGlynn and Mitsuda were like mutually, I wouldn't say fangirling, I don't know a more respectful word for it, but like they really appreciated each other's work. So they wanted to work together at some point, like Anuna and Mitsuda's music. So that's how that came together.
And were like from the beginning until now, you were sort of involved in the process. And then they selected you to be the solo vocalist for 3. What was that like?
I was a bit, well, at first I didn't know what it was for.
Oh, really?
And I was hyped. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've done so far. So that's when I started reading up about all the lore and stuff. I was like, I need to know what universe I'm stepping into.
And then you spent several weeks reading wiki articles.
Yeah, and I watched some YouTube videos and stuff because like I don't mind spoilers. Sometimes I actually enjoy spoilers beforehand because I like the comfort of knowing what I'm getting into. So yeah.
So you know broadly all of the things that happen.
Yeah.
But you're still playing through the game.
Yeah, I'm still playing through 1.
How are you liking it?
I love it. Yeah. At first, what held me back was my inability to play anything else than like PC games. Because I was like, I need a keyboard and a mouse because I don't have the motor skills for all those little buttons and things. But once I gave it like a good week, I actually started enjoying the Switch. So now I'm like full
Yeah.
on playing through all the games. So I finished all of 3, and then I started with 1.
It's always interesting when someone is experiencing the series for the first time, and I wonder, like, what is your perspective as somebody that has played 3 first? Because traditionally, most of us long time in the community would say, like, playing 3 first could be really risky. That's like, I don't know, there's a lot you need to know, but it seems like you were still able to thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, but I think I missed some of the whoa moments that I would have had if I played all the other games.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, I was just like, oh, this all looks interesting, where other people probably go, oh my god, wait, I recognize this, but I don't. What's going on? And I had none of that. So I look forward to replaying 3 at some point.
Awesome. So did you know, like, before Anuna got involved in the soundtrack, did you know anything about the series?
No, I think it was mentioned once, like by a friend of mine who played the games.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. So no.
And now your friend is like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're in the soundtrack.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah,
He felt a bit betrayed.
that's funny.
Yeah.
So we talked about Anuna, and sort of I guess you could call it like a subgroup within Anuna is SYSTIR.
Yes.
What can you tell me about your upcoming album with them, and just the group in general?
I'll start with the group in general, because that also almost like answers the album question.
Mm-hmm.
So what we wanted to do with SYSTIR is not be like a side project of Anuna, which is what people thought we were. But it's way more like individualistic. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Cool. Than Anuna. So we really looked at what is every individual singer in this group bringing to the table, in sense of like, what does their voice sound like? What's their background in music? Because some of us are like trained opera singers or are from Sicily, who have a completely different cultural background than the ones from Ireland. Then we have a traditional Sean-Nós singer from Ireland. We have Lauren and Aisling, who are also on the Xenoblade 3 soundtrack, who have like way younger voices than most of us. So we really looked at like, what does every individual woman in this group bring? Like, what does everyone add to the sound, and then how do we make one? How do we still make one sound and like not make it sound like we're 7 people, like each singing their solo, and we're like we really have to sound like a band more than a vocal group. So we spent months workshopping this idea, and then we went on tour with like a set list that we made 3 weeks in advance. And we're currently looking at songs to put on our album. So we look at like what worked on tour, what didn't work on tour. What direction do we want to go for this album?
So your kind of goal is to have like one person in the group like highlighted in a song, with the other members supporting that performance.
Yeah, and that would have to be like mixed with some group pieces that we all sing together, that somehow connects songs that connect all of us. Yeah. So we want to give space to every individual, and also show how we are still connected as like one group, one voice, one sound.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, no, it is. It
No,
is
we're
very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So we're like sending ideas back and forth, because we're all in different places.
So it's only when you go on tour that you're all like really together.
Yeah, or we travel to meet up. Like we met up in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, and obviously the Irish members can just, I don't know, take a train, whatever they do over there. Yeah.
Sounds like you got a lot on your plate. You're very, very busy.
Yeah.
It seems like you're managing it though.
Yeah, and like it goes in waves. So when I'm busy with SYSTIR, I can't be busy with Seed, and they know that. But it also works the other way around.
You sort of just say like, "Hey, I'm doing this month.
Yeah, it's a
Sorry."
bit like a child of divorced parents. I'm like, this weekend I'm
Yeah.
with Seed, and then I'm with SYSTIR. Yeah.
What do you think that the Sarah from 5 years ago would say about where you're at now?
Um, I think she'd be surprised because I remember 5 years ago I wasn't a big fan of solo stuff. Not because I was shy, but I just actively disliked the spotlight. I was like, no, I want to be part of something and like make art with other people, but I don't want to be singled out. And I was a bit less adventurous. And I think I like I went through some changes mentally during lockdown, and a lot of cool stuff happened afterwards. And now I do solo stuff, and I actually enjoy it.
That's good. It would be a
Yeah.
shame if you did not enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't want to go on a solo tour or anything, but I do like this new path that I'm trying now.
What's something that you would like to like accomplish in the future then? Like on this new path?
I just want to do more of solo stuff or soundtrack stuff. Because during lockdown, I also I can record at home, so I recorded vocals for a couple of things for composers like remotely, and I really enjoyed that as well. So if I could just do more of all this, I would be really happy.
That's good. It sounds like you're, exactly where you want to be.
Yeah.
My next question, it's a little bit of a sensitive topic, but we've talked already about it, and you're all good talking about it.
Yeah.
So you're openly bisexual.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who might be struggling with their identity?
Yes and no. First of all, I would say don't be too hard on yourself, because that's what I did. Look, I'm very privileged in that my family and everyone in my immediate surroundings was super supportive. So I don't have any advice from experience if that's what you're going through. But if you're beating up yourself over stuff like this, I would say don't give yourself time to get to know yourself, because that's basically what's going on. It's your identity. You don't have to wake up one morning and say, this is me, when you're still unsure, because that's not what I did. I thought about it for a very long time before I even confirmed anything for myself, let alone say it to other people. So I would say take your time getting to know yourself and accept whatever comes to the surface when you do that, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it does. No, I'm sure that'll definitely be helpful to someone out there.
But yeah, it doesn't help if people around you are telling you the opposite.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be around those people then.
Yeah, that's yeah. If that is a choice that you can realistically make, I would definitely say that. You don't need that BS in your life.
Yeah.
Because I know people, we can be so hard on ourselves. That's enough. We don't need other people being hard on us as well.
Oh, I appreciate your brutal honesty.
Yeah, and if anyone needs a thumbs up or a little heart react on Twitter, you know where to find me. If you're struggling with stuff like this, or if you want to enthusiastically come out, let me know. Cheering, yeah. It should be a joyous thing. It's about love, after all. People make it so complicated and they drag all this other stuff into it. No, it's about love.
It really is that simple.
Yeah. it should be a happy thing for everyone.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna move into the like the fan questions now. So I have
Yeah.
a bunch of these lined up. Hopefully we were able to get to your question. If not, it was likely already answered previously. So yeah, I'm sorry if your question isn't here. We could only do so many. We'd be sitting
Yeah.
here for like 5 hours. So from Zar Flarg, what is
Cool.
what is Sarah's favorite area theme?
Yeah. It's when in Xenoblade 1 when you enter the little Nopon village. And
Oh,
yeah.
Frontier Village.
Yeah.
I love that one too. That one is
And-
great.
It might be like a bit of like Stockholm syndrome because I spent a ridiculous amount of hours in that village just because I needed the wholesome vibes. So I have like hours of that soundtrack replaying in my head. Yeah, I love it.
That's funny. Popo QP8ZQ asks, who is Sarah's favorite character?
Yeah, that's a really hard question. I mean, most people who follow me on Twitter know I have a soft spot for Ethel for reasons. But I'm going to be boring and say Noah.
That's not boring.
Oh, is that controversial?
No, it's not
Okay,
controversial.
okay.
I'm just saying it's
No,
not
but
boring.
he's like a main character and everything, but I think he is the perfect main character.
Why is that?
He's not like overly heroic or dramatic or that way. He's a bit dramatic sometimes, but he has a good reason. Yeah, I just might be because I played Xenoblade 3 for probably like 180 hours in total. But I felt like I could relate to him, and he felt real, like a real person. So yeah,
He's just a good dude.
yeah, he's just a good dude trying his best.
Yeah. Xenobrub asks, what do you think of the lyrics of Where We Belong?
I think they're great. No, I could write a thesis on the lyrics of Where We Belong because I like analyzed them for myself before I sang them. But it's just so. It's like, like obviously there's a conversation happening because it keeps talking about you. I see you, blah blah blah. But it feels like the conversation is only happening in one person's head. They're not saying it out loud, if that makes sense. And it's just there are so many hints in the lyrics that hint to that. And yeah, again, they're so hopeful but also sad at the same time, and I think that's a work of art if you get that, like both those messages across in one song.
Definitely. Very impassioned internal struggle in that song.
Yeah, and it like the verses are optimistic, like hopeful, or they describe like more positive memories, and then you get this pre-chorus where like you get more withdrawn and you start doubting a little bit or worrying, and then the chorus is a bit more dramatic again. I really like the dynamics in the lyrics.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoy that song. I like that perspective a lot. Signet asks, out of everything you've done involving music, such as performing, teaching, or directing, which is your favorite?
Performing. Yeah, and it like I don't make me choose between groups, but
Oh,
performing will always be because it gives you a high, like an immediate high, and with stuff like recording, it's an emotional roller coaster, and you don't get the immediate result of what you've done. Like you have to wait for a bit to hear like a first demo or first mix, and then wait very long for like the audience to hear it. But when you're performing, you get an immediate response, like an immediate boost. And I like the interaction with the audience.
so it sort of comes in waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels a bit weird if you're singing this super emotional song and you're literally staring at a reflection screen in a studio and it's like gray.
I don't know, maybe close your eyes. I don't know, do people do that? Just close your eyes and like...
Yeah, that helps as well. And I remember, I'm not sure which one of the two songs it was, but for one of them, I put a cowboy hat on a lamp in the studio, and I sang to the cowboy hat just to like pretend that I was actually singing to someone, and it made me smile because I was a bit stressed. It looked silly. So yeah, performing, number one.
Xenolith asks, what was your reaction to seeing these songs for the first time in the game, and how do you think they were implemented?
Well, I had different reactions for both of them because the first, first step away, I knew some of the setting, but I didn't know I was gonna be in a similar setting for like 10 hours. So I kept going like, oh, this is the bit. No, it's not. Oh, this is no, it's not. Oh, so I ended up like coming to that point at like 3 in the morning, and I was exhausted, and I was all alone, and I cried a bit because I knew the lyrics, I knew a little bit about the story, but still everything leading up to that moment, I got really emotional. And then for the final song, I was just playing on my Switch on a train on my way to my parents, and then I realized we were there. I for some reason had no idea I had beaten the final boss. So I yeah, I was like, oh, this one's this one's hard. Like, why is it taking so long? And then I was like, oh, cutscene. Wait, no. So I paused it and I continued my journey, and I got to that song with my parents, watching proudly.
Oh, so you put it up on the TV and they watched?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I cried again. I think my mom cried a little bit.
Yeah, like their daughter is in like a video game.
Yeah, she kept complaining about like dialogue still going during the song. She was like, shh, why are they talking through the songs? Mom, it's a game. It's not a music video, right? Oh.
Yeah, they don't hear it. The
I don't wanna
characters
hear
don't know
it,
the song's playing.
Yeah. And I was like, I want to hear the conversation. And she was like, I want to hear the singing. So yeah. But I was glad I got to share that moment with other people, because that like step away on my own, 3 in the morning, felt a bit. I was a bit lonely. I was like, oh no, I'm so incredibly happy right now, and also sad because of like the whole story. And yeah, it was just me going, oh, I did that.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you knew this setting.
Oh, for both. Well,
But
if
did you
I-
know the setting
yeah,
for
well,
both?
yeah, but
Okay.
okay. So I can only say this in a very vague way. I knew the setting, but not the context. So I knew bits and pieces that I needed to get into character.
Yeah.
But that was it.
So they were just like, hey, this is like about what's kind of
this is
happening.
about
This is the
this.
mood.
Yeah, the character feels like this, but we're not really going to tell you why he feels like this, but just a little bit. But it won't make sense to you because you don't know the story. But so, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I knew the setting, but no context.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, they have to keep stuff like that under lock and key.
Yeah. And to be fair, they would have had to like sit me down in front of a TV and play me like the whole game if I wanted to understand like the entire context for where we belong. That would have been impossible.
Yeah, they
You
would have
can't
had
give
to
someone like
quiz
a
you.
brief. Yeah, you can give someone like one piece of paper and say, okay, this is the entire context of that song.
So 30,000 years ago, this thing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Does Xenogal asks, do you have to prepare yourself before singing?
Yeah, well, obviously I have to do some vocal warm-ups just to remind myself like where my singing voice is. And I think the most important thing is like being prepared mentally, like get into the right mindset. which for me is not thinking about like the notes on the paper, because I think a lot of trained musicians have that working against them in a way, because you are able to sing from a score, but that's not where the music is. So I usually have to take a moment to remember I'm actually singing someone's story and not singing notes on a piece of paper.
Gotta like remove yourself from that box.
Yeah, like don't think about music as this thing that you're trained to do, but as it's a tool.
Jacob Tai Jen 2099 asks, how is the flute practice going? I know Sarah started practicing the flute after finishing Xenoblade 3, so I was wondering how it was going.
Yes. Well, it's going. I can confidently play a couple of like Irish tunes on my tin whistles and on the recorder. So that's all going great. But then I got these beautiful like replica flutes, exact replicas of Noah's and Mio's flutes. And I can play one note or two notes on Mio's and like 0 on Noah's, because
Oh, so are they like different?
yeah, Mio's is a bit shorter, so it's for some reason easier to produce a tone. But yeah, it requires a different use of the breath compared to other whistles or singing. And I haven't really had the time to dive into that yet. So I keep trying to play like melodies on it, and there's just no sound.
I'm sure you'll get it.
Yeah, and they were made by Beyond 3D Props, by the way. And they're like a rare drop, like they sell out within seconds, and then you have to wait before they magically reappear in the shop.
Yeah. You have to have the page bookmarked and you have to refresh it every couple minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, but they look amazing, and I mean, they are playable. It's just I don't have the technique yet. But I make a promise to you now, Jacob. Jacob. I will learn. I will learn how to play them, and then I'll make a video for all to watch.
Ooh. All right, Jacob, you better
Yeah.
be following Sarah. Raffi asks, what is your favorite place that you've traveled to or performed at?
Ooh. I think favorite place I've traveled to, Sweden. Because I like mountains, because we don't have any here in the flat Netherlands. But favorite place I've performed at, China. Like all of it, all of China. Every place we've been to in China was awesome.
Oh, really? How long
Yeah.
were you there?
We were there on a 3-week tour a couple of years ago, and then we went back a year later or 2 years later to do a festival. And it was just, I mean, the view was cool. Like we had this view of the river next to our stage. The people were awesome. The food was awesome. Yeah, so definitely China, and we might be going back with Anuna soon. So
Ooh.
look forward to that. Yeah.
In our final question from the Marks channel, what is your favorite part of being a vocalist?
You know, sometimes when you listen to a song, you're like, "Oh, that just sounds so. That sounds so cool. I wish I could sing that." As a vocalist, you actually get to sing it. If that makes sense. Like if you sing along with music that you like, if you're like a professional musician, chances are that you actually get to sing that awesome music and even get paid for it. So that's been true for most of my work, is that someone writes this awesome piece of music and I'm like, I get to sing this with my voice. Cool. So that's my favorite part. I get to sing other people's works of art.
Yeah, unlike me, who is singing in the shower and like no one can ever hear things like that.
But even then, I mean, just the joy of singing good music, I would say, is my favorite part of being a vocalist. And you don't have to be good to enjoy it. That's the best part. Like, even if I got like a severe sinus infection right now, I wouldn't be able to perform for like 2 months. I would still feel joy attempting to sing music that I like.
Nice. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me. This was very eye-opening. I was very surprised at some of these answers.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot.
Oh, cool. They were good questions. And yeah, there were a lot of questions that I've never been asked before.
So where can the people find you? Where do you get the best Sara Weeda content?
Oh, the most frequent Sara Weeda content will be on Twitter. Sara the Sar is my Twitter handle. Yeah. So if I do anything professionally, I'll share it on Twitter. If I'm in a goofy mood and I want to meme about Nopons, it'll be on my Twitter. Everything is on my Twitter. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank all you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I don't know if Sarah appreciates it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.